I know you were brought up in Leicester, but which school did you go to?
Well, I went to Caldicott Road Junior School in Braunston, and then I was lucky enough to pass the 11 plus, which doesn't exist nowadays, shows how old I am. And then I went to City of Leicester Grammar School, City Boys as it was called then. I think it's mixed school now.
What were your favourite subjects at school?
Well, apart from the obvious, which is football and other sports, it was maths was my real favourite, and then English.
Which were your least favourite subject?
Mainly the chemistry and physics, stuff like that. The
Yeah.
sciences I wasn't very good. Didn't like it, boring.
Did you get involved in any out-of-school activities or clubs?
But yes, very much so. I used to play football on a Sunday for Elston Park, right through my teens, and that was good fun. I think it's important to get kids together, and it keeps you off the street as well, and keeps you disciplined.
How old were you when you first started playing?
I started playing football ever since I can remember. Actually in a proper team with Caldicott School when I was probably 8 or 9. Played consistently on after that.
What did you do after school and at the weekend?
It was, for me it's always been sport and more sport, and it was always football during the winter and cricket in the summer. Usually if it wasn't an organised thing, either training with the club or the school, it was in the back garden with my brother Wayne, him kicking a ball at me and vice versa, whether it be football or cricket.
Is there anything you regret not doing at school?
Yeah, probably languages. I speak Spanish now through living in Barcelona for 3 years, and I just wished I'd perhaps tried a little bit at French and German when I was at school. I was a bit lazy at school. I wasn't really bad, but I could have done so much better if I'd worked hard at it.
Did you ever get into trouble as a youngster?
Not really. Occasionally I was with a headmaster at the school. I was once given a cane and I was innocent actually, which wasn't fair because he confused me with somebody else, which was a bit annoying. And also for playing cards for money and things like that.
Yeah.
Do you have any contact with the police?
Not a lot really. Nothing. I don't think I've ever really been in trouble with the police. I left that to my brother.
Do you think it's possible that for someone with a less privileged background can break the mould and make something in his life and keep out of trouble?
Absolutely. I don't think I had a particularly privileged background. I think I was lucky enough to have parents that really cared for me and encouraged me in my sport and in my activities, and I had a lot of discipline at home. It was only a market trading family, so I think I've shown that with hard work, dedication and discipline that you can achieve something in your life.
Do you think that the environment which kids are brought up in affects them in their later life?
I think it's up to the kids, and I think parents are very, very important. I believe most sincerely that kids are designed by the parents, and I think if they're given the right discipline at home, then that helps them for later in life. If that's not the case, then it often can be difficult for the child, and I think we all need influences in our life, and if that can be offered by the parents, and it's a good influence and a good example, then that's easy. If it's not offered by the parents, then it's often difficult for the child.
Did any of your friends ever get into trouble? And if so, how did you not get involved with it?
I don't think I've ever been a person that's been easily influenced by gangs and things like that with kids. It's sort of the smoking thing, when a few kids smoke and then others sort of follow like sheep, and it's not a good thing. And that can also be the same as far as getting into trouble if somebody wants to do something that they shouldn't. And you know it's wrong, then you should be strong enough in your mind to stick up and not do it, not have to do it, not feel as though you've got to do it because to be one of the boys. I think you're a better person if you can say no and do what you know is right.
Do you think you would have been as successful as you are if you'd got into trouble as a youngster?
No, I don't think so. I think we'll never know that. It's a hypothetical question in a way.
Yeah.
But part of my success right throughout my career is because of the image that I've had. And if I'd have been in trouble at any time, that would have really been looked at heavily by by the press and the media
Yeah.
now because they follow you around, and we try to set an example. And the fact that I behaved myself when I was a kid has continued throughout my life, and I think it's been better for me.
Yeah.
Do you think involvement in sports helps to keep youngsters out of trouble?
Definitely. Involvement in sport or activities, not perhaps just sport, but other activities to keep them busy, to make sure they don't hang around outside the street and perhaps get in bad company. If you can get involved, especially with organised things like boys' clubs or football clubs or whatever, I think it encourages friendship, encourages discipline, and if you're playing in a team spirit and things like that, and certainly stops you thinking about getting involved in anything you shouldn't be.
If you hadn't been a footballer, what do you think you might have ended up?
Well, I'll never know that, but as a kid it was always to be a footballer or perhaps a cricketer. That would have been nice. I don't know whether I'd ever been good enough to do that, but if not, I always said I would have liked to have been a sports journalist, but it's the next best thing to playing, I think, is either watching it or writing it. That might be what I end up doing when I finish playing.
Why do you think that youngsters do get into trouble?
I don't know, I think it might be with a lot of youngsters partly down to following, like we said earlier, following bad examples or trying to be one of the lads and getting involved with other people who have bad ideas or want to commit crimes or whatever. It's difficult for me to understand because I can't really understand why anybody would want to rob people or commit crimes or beat people up or anything. I find that very hard to understand why someone would ever want to do that. And I think most of us are like that, and I think some people certainly get involved with that because they're just copying somebody else.
You any advice for people watching this video about what the advantages are of staying out of crime?
Absolutely, I tell you, life's a lot easier if you do stay out of crime. I know that. I know people that have got involved, and they've suffered all their lives for it. It's a blemish against your name, and it's something that you're going to have to live with the rest of your life. If you've got a criminal record, for a start, it's harder to get a job. You lose respect of other people around you, and it's very difficult to regain that respect.
I'm here at the home of Ray and Jackie Gabriel-White. They had the tragedy of losing their son Jonathan just over a year ago. Jonathan abused solvents. Hello, Ray. Hello, Jackie. Thanks for inviting me to your home. Jackie, did you know that Jonathan was abusing solvents?
Absolutely nowhere at all.
What about you, Ray?
No, and certainly the coroner seemed to back up what we thought. He wasn't an habitual user. It seems to have been a one-off that went wrong.
So, what did you feel, Jackie, when you actually found Jonathan on that day?
Shock and horror. Disbelief. This couldn't happen to us.
And Ray wasn't in
No, he
at
wasn't.
the time. So you came home, Ray, and what
Rather
happened
quickly.
then?
Well, Jackie had told me that he'd gone into the toilet and locked the door, which was unusual in our house because we have a disabled child. Having battered the door down and found him lying on the floor, of course, then it's a matter for the emergency services, the ambulance, the police, and from that point you are pushed to the background. The emergency services take over, the ambulance do whatever they've got to do. The police then whipped Jackie and myself away for questioning as to what had happened up to the death and how we found him and how we got into the bathroom and things like that. So to a certain extent your life is taken over by the services.
So, Jonathan was a very normal lad, a normal, very normal. He must be very badly missed in the area.
Well, as I say, we've moved since then, so I don't really know, although people do talk to me more about him. As time goes on, they're not so careful. They don't avoid me. They'll come and actually talk about it.
So, what actually happened on the day? He was in the bathroom and Ray was out.
Well, he came home from school early, which was unusual, and he was very, very quiet. And fussy for Jonathan. He seemed, quite fussy and very, very quiet. I went to see him once or twice because he was sitting in his room, just staring into space, as if he was thinking a lot. And I'd got my younger son at home, so I was busy with him. He was sick. Then I heard him go into the bathroom and lock the door.
Youngsters that are abusing solvents do change. I mean, Ray, you've had some experience since because you've got involved with an outfit called Resolve.
Yeah.
And you've obviously now you know a lot more about it than you did before. Can you tell us what happens to these youngsters when they start abusing solvents?
First, to say the difficulty is that it is normally puberty years where there are swings in attitude and behaviour. With solvent abuse, that change is more rapid. It's sort of 1 second they are pleasant, and the next they are, in some cases, wildly over the top. So the changes are infinitely faster than one would normally expect with a child of going through normal puberty. Again, because young people who are going through that stage suffer from spots and things, it is extremely difficult. But with a solvent abuse, particularly if they're into things like glue sniffing, is that they have persistent sores around the nose and around the mouth. It's unlike spots that appear and disappear. They are there persistently. Unfortunately, they've moved on to a more dangerous form now, where they're squirting butane gas straight into the mouth.
And that's the more dangerous one.
That is they are, in a lot of cases, more fatal than the old glue sniffing because it attacks the brain so much quicker.
And this is what actually causes the cardiac arrest in the young person, isn't it? One squirt and bang.
Yeah.
Is this what happened to Jonathan?
From what the coroner says, yes, his heart took off as though he was running a 1 minute mile, and basically, in simple terms, his heart exploded.
Who's watching this will say to themselves, well, if I'm stupid enough or daft enough to abuse solvents, this could be my mum and dad. Finally, Ray and Jackie, firstly Jackie, what do you say to the youngsters out there if they even think about abusing solvents?
Don't join the crowd. If there is a crowd, it's better to turn around and say, no, I'm not going to do this. You're bigger and you're braver if you turn and walk away.
Absolutely. And Ray?
Again, if a youngster is thinking about it, don't even attempt it. But if you're in difficulties, go to a school teacher or a parent or a doctor, somebody who can give you the moral support to say no if you're fine. But even more particular is if you are using solvents now, for God's sake, do it where somebody can get to you. Don't lock bathroom doors. Don't lock toilet doors. Don't do it by canal pass where you're on your own. Because if you get into difficulty and you're in those situations, nobody can get to you. Do it safely if you have to, but basically don't.
Well, that sounds very, very good advice. Well, thank you, Ray. Thank you, Jackie.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.